Russian people are not the Russian government.
I think Putin's a bit of a bad apple.
What do you think about Russian people?
Why don't I head
Okay. Hello, I'm Max. I am from Russia. Today we watch video. What do you think about Russians? I really bad know English because subtitle. Okay, let's watch. Please like, comments. Let's go.
lots of different stories. I think, you know, they're like any other people. They've had a pretty...
Yes, of course. You person. We people. Yeah, of course.
difficult time for the past
Oh,
few
yeah.
centuries. You know, there's Russian people who support the war, there's Russian people who oppose the war.
Oh my gosh.
Russian people, I don't think they have any say in what's going on.
Some good people, actually.
But what
They
about
drink too much, but you know, that's another matter.
No. I don't drink alcohol or another alcoholic drinks.
But what about when the media, for example, says that I don't know, 70% of Russian people support the war?
Well, I'm just not too sure whether or not Russian people have access to the same information that we get in the West. So, discuss.
I think the Russian media are very, very good at telling the Russian people how well it's going, so therefore I believe they're probably not hearing the truth.
I feel very sorry for people in Russia because they're,
Why?
they're
Why? Granddad, why?
forced into something they can't control.
I think they are
You think?
terroristic. It's hard to say.
What?
I like
What? What? Back.
terroristic.
What?
Control.
I think they are terroristic. It's hard to say.
What the?
I like Russian people in general. I just think Putin's
What? What?
weirdo.
Putin's definitely
No.
misguiding his population.
Oh,
for sure.
okay.
So why, for example, the opinion polls say that 60 or 70% of Russian people support the war?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Again, misled. I mean, look at Brexit. It's very easy for
Exactly.
politicians to mislead their.
Weak members of the population who aren't doing enough reading.
Yeah.
The people themselves, lovely people, I know some, but the politicians, I just don't know why they've started this war. It's just they give no specific reason. It's a special military operation, but they're bringing other people into it, and they're getting a lot of funding from other countries. Which is wrong in this climate.
Same thing I think about Britain.
Oh,
The people-
okay. Tak.
My country, Britain,
Yeah.
was involved in numerous aggressive wars over the last 30 years, and I protested against every single one of them. Russian people are not the Russian government. It's a different agency, different source of power.
I ain't got no problem with no one from anywhere. Russian people, you could be Russian,
Smart.
Ukraine, you could be anything. It depends on the person you are as, like, deep down, what type of morals you carry, you know what I mean? And I feel like the reason why people have a bad impression on Russia is probably who runs it, innit? You know what I mean? Their leader. His morals aren't all the way there, so therefore it kind of represents the rest of your people as people that have no morals.
But what if, like, what about a Russian person who supports the war, for example?
I'd have to understand why they support it before I have my own opinion. I wouldn't really understand anyone that wants the war to go down.
I imagine a lot
Oh,
of them are very decent,
interesting.
like the rest of us.
Why?
But obviously,
Blur why?
and army, etc., not good.
What about the ones who support the war?
No, I don't like them. That's not right. Would you like us to invade your country?
They're okay, but I think Putin's a bit of a bad apple. You know,
And what do you think about the ones who support the war?
Yeah, but they're in the same sort of situation. So I married a Russian girl, you know.
I don't
Oh.
think the Russian people. I guess
I don't
right now I'm split on it
understand,
'cause I believe some people do
unfortunately.
support it, but I also believe their country is misleading them. I do not believe the country is free media, free all that. So I think they are being misled.
I'm sure that most of them are watching the television and being fed lies and don't really realise what's going on. But a lot of their sons must be dying.
Well, I don't know many of them. But I
But-
suppose there's good and bad in, as there is in everybody.
But for example, if media says that most Russian people support the war, what do you think of that?
Well, that's probably because, like lots of people in Britain, voted for Brexit because they believed the lies. I
And what-
would say, think the same is probably true with Russian people.
I have a lot of Russian friends.
Mm,
They share my
interesting.
a lot of them, most of them. Some of them they feel like they're too great to be underestimated, and they feel because of this that they can impose their views. I think it's wrong for some of them to think.
It's hard for me. It's hard for me.
This is 21st century. We need to see ourselves as citizens of the world and not citizens of a state.
Good,
Come and
good
go,
words.
do our travels
Good
on this
words.
planet, and we 60, 70, 80 years from now on,
Mm.
we disappear, regardless of what. We all come from one place,
It's-
and we're all gonna go in one place.
It's really
We're
good
gonna take
words.
nothing with us. We're only gonna leave our names. And I think
Yeah,
peace
yeah.
is
My eyes.
crucial. In where I come from, it's an old saying that the courageous one can forgive, the weak one does not forgive, always seeks revenge.
I like Russian people.
Oh, really nice. I met someone the other day and said, "Oh, you're Russian." Then they said, "Where are you from?" Because my family's got a shop, and the person said, "Russia," and I was like, "Oh, I really respect you for saying that, because it must be actually quite difficult saying that at the moment. There must be a stigmatism saying you're Russian." And she was like, I was like, "How's it going?" She was like, "No, it's really stressful. This, that, and the other." And most of her family was in Ukraine, some were in Russia, and so it's complicated. So I never would think that Russian people are bad. I just think it's one human.
I'm sure they're
Understood.
absolutely excellent and as varied as ever. People are not responsible for their governments, and particularly when you have an authoritarian regime, as you had. Russia has a very
Interesting.
proud history of trying to pull together
Interesting.
this country. And
Interesting.
supported its
Really
years,
interesting
but, it's no
opinion.
longer democratic, and you don't blame people for that. If you did, you would blame we British.
But what if, for example, most of the opinion polls show that most Russian people do support the special military operation in Ukraine?
I'm sure that data is probably correct, but as we know from our experience in the UK, if you limit people's access to information and to various views, then it's very difficult to form an opinion. Look at what happened to us in the UK prior to Brexit and the lies that people believed.
I think that it's unfortunate that a lot of places have lumped the entire population to their government, and that
They don't know what is going
No.
on. They really don't know what is going
well
on.
they do, and it's not their fault. you
It's
know?
not their fault, and they can't. What can they do to stop it?
Well, if they do happen to support the war, what do you think of those sorts of Russian people?
I think it's sad that they're supporting such an awful thing that's happening to the people, like to people.
I think definitely at the start there was a lot of an idea that every Russian person agrees with it, every Russian person is on board with it. But now I think it's very much changing, and I feel like as much as you'll always have people that are very nationalistic or very pro-war, I recognise now that there is a large amount of the population that is against it and is kind of just as shocked as the rest of the world. So it's hard to generalise, but I think I can see there's a split there.
Generally, Russian people I don't have any issues with. You know, so it's rather unfortunate, but I don't have any issues with Russians. as a group of people. You know, I think it's just sad that they have a leader who decides to make that kind of decision, but it doesn't reflect. I don't think it reflects on Russian people, but at the same time, I haven't had any direct conversations with Russians to see, to understand their own perspective on things. But from my own generic point of view, I don't have any. I don't think anything negative about the people.
To be honest, the normal people, they are nice and generous. They're good, no bad. But the army is a different story. Because I've been to Russia, they offer me, they invite me for dinner, me and my family. They spend all the wages for a week or a month to put food on the table. Same thing is Ukraine. They are general people, genuine people, the old people. They are good. They are very nice. But now Putin's changed. I don't know why. Something maybe because Ukraine is leaning too much to Europe, and he's not happy with it. That's my opinion.
I mean, Russian people are completely separate from the war situation. They're civilians too, and they're just stuck in a bad government.
Yeah, and I heard they're against the government. No, most of the people. No,
some of them. You can't stereotype.
Well, just say that everyone.
Yeah, you can't stereotype.
But if the opinion polls, for example, say that 70 or maybe even 80% of Russian people support the war.
But do we know that that's true? I don't know if we know if that's true with the government that's there.
I like Russian people. I've got lots of Russian friends, but that's a huge statement. It's like saying, what do I think about UK people? There's some UK people I like and don't like,
But what about, for example, the opinion polls, which show that most Russian people support the war?
do they? Or do they feel obliged to say that they support the war? Is that truly, are they making a choice? Or do they feel like they have to say that? I mean, where are the opinion polls coming from? And who governs those? So do we really have a true statistic on that? We don't know. Because all we have here are access to what the media tells us. And if that's controlled by or manipulated by people who are in support of the war, then you're not really getting an honest opinion poll, are you?
Well, knowing a friend that is Russian, I think they're very kind people. I think they're very good people. And I think, unfortunately, I don't think the actions of a leader may dictate the individuality of each person, even regarding the nation that they come from.
It's a hard question because I think that I don't really know enough about Russian people. I think that a lot of what comes out of Russia doesn't necessarily paint Russian people in a good light, but that's billionaires behaving badly and Vladimir Putin. That's kind of what you end up hearing about. But I'm sure that doesn't reflect all Russian people.
The Russian people that I've known have always been very nice.
What about when the opinion polls show that the majority of them support the war?
Well, it's opinion polls. It's showing what they're being spoon-fed by the media there, I guess. So you can't really, I don't know, as I'm not there. I don't know what they're being told, but I'm sure, in the same way that I'm not 100% sure what everything we're being told. But yeah, I mean, I think that's why I would say that they would support it, because that's what they've been led to believe. And certainly the older generation, from what I've read, which isn't a great deal, also seem to have some nostalgia for the old Soviet Union and want sort of to rebuild the Soviet bloc, possibly.